Hello and welcome. We bring to you, live from Berlin and the Brandenburg Gate, the 27th Eurosolar European Solar Award ceremony. We have been doing this for a quarter of a century, and we have scoured the continent, which reaches from Iceland to Russia, from Finland to Turkey, to find the very best, the very most excellent and most applicable, most ubiquitously deployable examples of the energy transition that we all want and deserve to have. 100% renewable energy is the world we want to have. We are looking across the continent, but we're also looking across the world because we're also awarding projects, initiatives that are connecting Europe to the rest of the world, to developing countries and beyond. We do this for three reasons. One is to really celebrate those individuals, companies, institutions, media operations, and others that are engaged in this transformation. Secondly, is to learn from them. To learn from them today and to engage them live, online, with questions and answers. And thirdly, is to build an archive of knowledge, of know-how, so we can, in years to come, draw from this important knowledge and already next year begin our workshops. We're going to offer online workshops featuring the very best, the most articulate, the most thoughtful, the most applicable of these prize winners of this year and previous years to you as a kind of a solar college, which we're initiating as part of our renewable decade that's starting in 2020. Welcome to our program. Welcome to yourselves and to your 100% renewable energy future. Let's get started. We're both honored and delighted to have with us the winners of the 2020 European Solar Prize. We're going to celebrate this over the next hour or so, and we have a global community to share this with. But we'll also take a few minutes at this time to remind ourselves that we're not doing this for business or out of hobby reasons. That might be one of the reasons, but we're driven by other more burning and existential concerns. If we look around the world, we are filled with anxiety by the burning of forests, South America, Africa, the polar circle. We're seeing tipping points being reached and transgressed. We feel tension because we feel a tension between what we know we should be doing and what we at the same time don't understand it's not happening. We look back at the last 25 years of relative inaction, and we're wondering why that is. We now realize that it's largely because we have forgotten that back in 1988, 1990, 1994, when we started with this prize ceremony with Eurosolar, CO2 emissions were already too high. We've deluded ourselves thinking that we can aim higher and higher, with temperatures to 1.5 to 2 degrees. We now know that was indeed a mistake. We had too much CO2, too much methane in the system all along. We should have been pointing at the other direction and reducing the concentrations. Now, Eurosolar put together a 10-point plan for its regenerative Earth decade. And this decade begins with this prize. The first point is to establish national climate defense budgets. It's not sufficient to subsidize, to provide feed-in tariffs. That has to be a national, centralized defense move. Secondly, we have to establish climate diplomacy, climate peace diplomacy, reducing global tensions, redirecting the energy that goes wrongly into war and war fighting to the common enemy of climate destabilization. Third, we need to reverse our emissions thinking. Not more emissions being emitted, but emissions being called back from the atmosphere. Emissions being sequestered in our soils, in our nature, in our buildings. And we, fourthly, have to declare fossil fuels as toxic. They are toxic. We need to find a way of beginning to outlaw them and tax them at the source. That means, fifthly, we need to reconstruct the fossil fuel industry with a concerted focus, restructure it. And sixthly, build a regenerative workforce around a renewable energy-based industry and economy. Seventh, we need to build up biosequestration programs intensely in agriculture, in forests, in wetlands, and so forth. And eighth point is to build industrial sequestration ability, carbon fiber production, wood production in building, in aircraft, in highway construction, in our entire productive economy. And finally, the 10th point is the financial sector. We need to find ways of constructing financial incentives to reward long-term investments, not short-term gains, and to construct a bridge between the differential cost savings of long-term investments and today's return we require. We need future banks. And so these 10 points, together with this wonderful event this afternoon, establish our Regenerative Earth Decade. Here I would like to introduce you for the next 2 minutes to a collection of wonderful examples in Berlin. For instance, the central government district of Berlin is a renewable energy district. It has been built that way already 25 years ago. It is independent from the grid. It uses the grid as a backup in thermal, but also in electric power. And this inspiration has been translated into the central railway station of Berlin. The transport sector is 96.7% fossil fuel based. We need to transform our transport sector into a renewable energy sector. And here's an example of a recent European Solar Prize winner, the Torino-Porta Susa train station. Turin thought this was a wonderful idea and also turned its train station into a solar power plant. We have now a contrast between the train station of Torino and the rest of the city, which is largely still bereft of solar roofs, a challenge there. We've awarded, already 15 years ago, Acciona Energia with its Milagro solar gardens, not just because of solar panels on marginal agricultural area, but to establish a solar real estate program for retirees, retirement investment, a financial innovation which we thought was worth celebrating. But at the end, it's the action of individuals, people around the world, like this Swiss tiny village of Schwyz, which has 4 micro apartments, independent. And this, my dear friends, shows you that the many submissions we receive. For each award this afternoon, we have 10 or 20 submissions that don't make it. Here's one of them was truly excellent, but the jury couldn't decide to include it in the awards. But I'd like to show you that this is really a fantastic program and project to establish a tiny house collection of 4 apartments in the middle of a tiny village in tiny Switzerland, and establishing the knowledge that our cities and communities can become power plants themselves. And here's the last example of a wonderful example of an award winner, a program, a geographic information system-based program that can help us understand whether cities and regions can have enough energy, thermal power, and transport to power themselves. And so here I conclude by saying, if we do that, if we reduce a region's emissions, here's the Lake Constance region in the central part of Europe, to almost zero, and then build up the capacity of forests, wetlands, and agricultural soils to sequester carbon, we can have truly carbon negative, climate positive regions that absorb more CO2 than they emit. So that's what the future looks like, an integration of renewable energy systems and natural systems, the regenerative Earth Decade we would like you to invite us in, and we're delighted that the awardees this afternoon help us launch over the years to come. Thank you. Now, the first award winner is now waiting to be celebrated. And for this, we're moving to the beautiful region, the beautiful country, the beautiful world of Scotland.
The Scottish Isle of Eigg is powered by 3 renewable sources: hydro, wind and solar, that have been integrated into a stable high-voltage underground grid since 2008. The island was never connected to the mainland grid and had to rely on diesel generators before. The idea for an independent and renewable energy supply was developed after the residents, the Highland Council and Scottish Wildlife Trust set up the island's own Heritage Trust in 1997 in order to buy the island. They secured financing from EU funds and set up Eigg Electric, which manages 11 kilometers of underground high-voltage cable, 3 hydroelectric plants, 100 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt and 6 kilowatt, 4 6-kilowatt wind turbines and 50 kilowatt solar photovoltaic capacity. Eigg Electric operates the island's energy infrastructure and is a subsidiary of the Isle of Eigg Heritage Trust. The island grid produces approximately 90% of the electricity used locally. A battery bank, able to provide electricity for up to 24 hours, helps smooth out supply and demand. Nowadays, the 2 diesel generators are only used for backup. The residents were consulted on every step of the way, including energy prices and what to do with the surplus energy. This is now used to heat communal spaces free of charge. The Isle of Eigg is a pioneer of community power and the possibilities of renewable island grids.
Well, we have with us here, from the Isle of Eigg, from Scotland, Sue Hollands, who is the director of Eigg Electric, and Neil Robertson, who is a member of the Island Grid Maintenance team. Welcome, Sue and Neil. And we're also pleased that you're able and willing to give us some answers, some inquiries, that I have some questions we have received. For one thing, is you have been active for 10 years and you've built up quite some experience. And do you have a message or some kind of learning input for, let's say, other islands, or perhaps islands on the mainland? How to do it, what the benefits are, and what the rewards have been despite the effort that you put in?
Yeah, guten Tag, Berlin. Eigg was quite easy for us to have to start this system because we had no alternative. Everybody was on their own diesel generators. So when the idea was put forward that we should have an island-wide system that everybody was included in, it was an easy decision to make. One of the things that's really helped us along the way is having very dedicated people involved in it who kept the idea going when it was still at the idea stage and kept the project moving forward, and keeping a hold of, or keeping interested, people who have the technical know-how. So people who originally worked on our system 10, 11, 12 years ago, some of the engineers we are still in contact with, and they will actually, they're at the end of the phone. When we have a problem or need any advice, we can phone them up, and if we can get hold of them, because they're all very busy, and they will actually offer us advice, often free, and save us having to bring in engineers and talk us through different scenarios and different ways of dealing with things that come along. So trying to keep everybody involved in the system and almost be part owners of it, not just the people who are buying the electricity at the end of it, but the people who worked on it and looking at it as a full system or a full way of doing something has helped us tremendously.
Now, Eigg Electric has been established by the the Heritage Trust, isn't that right? The Heritage Trust established for the island in the late 90s.
Yes.
And so it was a kind of a way of dealing with the heritage or managing its heritage in a sustainable manner. Do I read that correctly? And does the Heritage Trust still have an interest and a role in the destiny of Eigg Electric?
Very much. Eigg Electric is a subsidiary company of the Isle of Eigg Heritage Trust that actually owns Eigg. And it was one of our major projects to increase the amount of electricity. We were never going to get a mainland cable, so it was finding a way that we could go from everyone having an individual generator with only 3 kilowatts and all the fossil fuel emissions that went with that, and onto a system which gives us 24-hour power, gives us 5 kilowatts, and per household, I should say, and is maintained by a team and is, as we said, 90% renewable run.
Well, thank you very much, Sue and Neil. I have another question here. One often hears criticism from the heritage community, I think unjustifiably, because things can be managed, but that there is a conflict between renewable energy installations and the heritage of landscapes, say, or heritage buildings. Did you have to manage that in your plan? And if so, did you find a rather harmony or conflict between the introduction of renewable energy infrastructure and the maintenance of landscape beauty and heritage visions of settlements, say, in the Isle of Eigg?
We did have to manage that quite carefully. We ran into Eigg is an area of outstanding natural beauty. So the scenic aspect of having wind turbines, although ours are very small, was heavy in people's minds. And then the nature and environment aspect of it, for instance, for the hydro, for a dam, that came into it as well. So we had to deal with, obviously, the legislative bodies, like at the time it was Scottish Natural Heritage, the government environmental agency, to ensure that we passed all their criteria. And we also had to deal with individuals and people who put concerns forward. And in the end, I think we got the balance pretty good. We don't have a large dam to hold a big body of water for our hydro, but we live on the west coast of Scotland. I mean, rain is usually not in short supply. So things like that came good. And our turbines, our wind turbines, we kept them small. In the beginning, it's possible that we will increase the size as they get older, because people are now used to the fact that they're not necessarily ugly. They can be beautiful things because they are saving on fossil fuels. They're providing energy from the wind. And it can be something that you can look at and feel happy about.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful to hear and very instructive. I wanted to just ask one more question. You have really only 2 minutes to answer this. As I like to say, no island is an island. Do you see a mission in yourself? Are you being asked by other islands or others, non-island interested parties, how you did it, how you went about it? Do you have a kind of a, if you will, teaching program, or do you get a lot of phone calls to pursue your knowledge in what you've done?
Yes, we've actually had visitors from all over the world who have been interested in our system. Quite a lot of rural and third world countries who at the moment don't have an electricity supply. And also we see a way forward in countries that are having their own grids with more and more demand, having a local responsibility with a microgrid being the way forward in the world.
Well, thank you very much, Sue and Neil, and congratulations for winning the European Solar Prize in the category Towns, Municipalities, Council Districts, and Public Utilities. We cheer you on with our collective applause.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Dankeschön.
Thank you.
And from the Isle of Eigg, we're moving into a different part of Europe, an equally beautiful, very different region, the region of the Engadine in Switzerland.
The project is located in the mountain village Lutsch in the Grishun Mountains of Switzerland. The listed building was uninhabited for 60 years and completely falling apart. The entire renovation took 3 years in close collaboration with the preservation department of the region. Wherever possible, we worked with local craftsmen. The energy system we chose for this project is a combination of photovoltaic, solar collectors and geothermal probes. This system gives us the possibility to store the energy that we produce during the summertime into the rock and retrieve that energy in the wintertime to heat the entire house. To protect the historic wooden floors in the house, we decided to incorporate wall heating systems that are completely invisible. Because of its historic value, it's not possible to insulate such a building as one would do a new building construction. In the spa area, we use a heat recovery from air system, which is completely invisible. In today's living area, we kept the light situation and atmosphere of the old barn. With today's technology, it's even possible that a historic house like this produces its own energy. That means in the future, for us, it's clear that each new building has to become a power plant.
Well, in the category of solar architecture and urban planning, the award goes to FELIX partner, Architektur and Design in Switzerland, and I'm delighted to have with us here Peter FELIX. Happy Peter, who is calling in live from the Engadine. Mr. FELIX, a CEO and founder of your company. You will know the old adage, the old saying that it's impossible to combine renewable energy with historic buildings. One should leave that alone. But you and I know that traditionally people have built with renewable energy, with the sun, with the elements. Not in a high technology sense, but in a thermal mass sense, in a responsive sense to the climate and the weather. In your integration, I'm struck by the fact that you find a way of using the benefit of the old structure and combining it with the new. Can you tell us a little bit about your design philosophy and your approach to be able to make that integration possible?
Yes, we really looked carefully at the existing structure. And we found out that this house, over the centuries, many times there had been changes to it. So the people who lived in it always changed, added rooms, took something out and redid it. So it was always changed to the demands the people had who lived in that structure. So what we said is today the demand has to be sustainability. And that's why we incorporated this kind of system into this house. And with that, we proved that it's possible to do this without destroying a historic building, but add this value to it and in that sense to continue the history of the structure.
Do you feel there is a lesson to be learned to other historic structures of course, not the identical lessons, but a kind of an approach, a method on how to think about those. And what would you tell other communities who now think it's impossible to touch those old buildings?
I think it needs lots of convincing. One has to convince the people to really do something like that. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, but at the end it's worth doing it. And I guess the example shows what kind of quality one can develop out of such a project.
What do other Engadiners think about you? What do your fellow neighbors say? Do they say you're a wonderful example, or do they say that's a one-off exception?
I think it's still an exception, but I think it's the future. We have to continue this way, and we have to do it more, and we have to convince people that people demand such structures, that they demand a school that is self-sustainable, that they demand apartments where they can live without with their own energy. I think that's what we have to do.
Well, if you say we have to do that, are you also willing to share your knowledge? We are establishing a Eurosolar Academy where we would like to be able to present your insight to a larger community. And we'd like you to lead the 2021 architecture section of this program. We will contact you and find out how we can do that, but we'll be honored. And of course, we'll be also honored to involve Sue and Neil in a similar way in how to do island work. But this academy we are very serious about, because we find that what you have discovered and others in this prize is truly worth the European Solar Prize, not just in solar architecture and urban planning, but in the overall successful pursuit of a renewable energy-based civilization. And therefore, I'd like to congratulate you for receiving this award and thank you for making this submission.
Thank you.
From Engadine, we look at a very different part of Europe once again, and that is Spain, the Costa Brava, in the category of industrial and commercial companies or farmers. Welcome, Spain.
The camping bungalow resort La Ballena Alegre is an example of renewable tourism and makes holidaymakers aware of the impact of our lifestyle on the environment. The operators are continuously working to improve the carbon footprint of the resort, which features different kinds of e-divisa bungalows. Each bungalow has its own PV roof, a battery that accumulates the surplus energy from the day to use it at night, and an aerothermic pump to obtain the maximum comfort with the minimum consumption. In addition, each bungalow has an individual electric vehicle charging point. In total, 400 photovoltaic panels have been installed on the e-divisa bungalows, saving 100 tons of carbon emission per year. La Ballena Alegre also uses geothermal energy and plans to further expand its use of renewable energies, especially wind power. The operator also commits to promoting eco-wellness, the reduction of water and energy consumption and waste. La Ballena Alegre offers both comfort and ecological sustainability on the beautiful Costa Brava, Sant Pere Pescador, Girona, Catalonia.
Welcome, Mr. Trias. Alex Trias is here, the adjunct director of the company that won this important prize. And I believe you're also accompanied by your chairman, are you? Or you're by yourself?
I'm by myself.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you also for taking the time of answering just a few questions. One thing that struck us is this marvelous introduction of renewable energy and regenerative wellness, a lifestyle concept, if you will, an integrated concept that doesn't just mean solar panels on the roof. Can you tell us a little bit more about the origin, the root, the seed of this idea, and what role the renewable energy component played in your overall concept of addressing a wellness and lifestyle health-oriented clientele?
Well, the main thing is we've always tried to sell the medioambiental energy or the good things that has the environment for our camping site. Camping site, it's a link with nature. And then what we've started from the beginning is trying to find a way to help nature continue as it is or improve it and have a lower footprint on it. And we started initially doing thermal solar panels to heat the water. We've moved on to photovoltaic panels and sharing between the bungalows. We've increased, with this project, we're trying to increase consciousness of tourists and families. So we do a draw at the end of the year of the most effective families during the week. And so we draw the stay for the following year. Now we have moved this year doing some geothermal work, and we'll have other projects to keep improving that.
Do your visitors respond to this idea? Are they particularly interested in it? Do you find you have found a market there or a market advantage?
Yes, I think, well, all camping site clients are very keen to know what you're doing to help the environment and improve the environment. So I think that, yes, we have a marketing tool there as well with this project.
Generally, the tourist industry, although there are segments of sustainable tourism, environmental tourism, ecotourism, and so forth, tends to be more movement or trip-oriented. But the accommodations themselves often are not always thought of as being particularly environmentally aware. What is your take on that? Do you think the industry at large is shifting? Do you think you're more a individual hero on an empty plane, or do you think there are others like you who would take your example and follow you into a more renewable, more sustainable industry?
I believe and I hope that the industry is shifting towards this, toward the sustainability. Although there's some big parts and probably more cities or huge hotels or buildings that's tougher to get them there, but I think we're moving toward there, and all the industry is moving towards that now.
Now, my final question, Alex, is the commercial side, not just in terms of market attraction, but also in terms of return or the financial balance, the end-of-year report. Is it neutral? Is it you paying more than you were hoping, or do you actually find an advantage in what you've been doing?
So far, you're paying more than you really get, but hopefully we'll be able to shift that in the future and be able to get more than we really put in. But so far, you have to do a real investment, believe in it, and try to want to improve the environment to be able to do it. Not just about numbers. With numbers only, you wouldn't be able to do things like that.
Well, I'm convinced that we will do everything we can to triple, quadruple, increase in tenfold the visitors of the resort La Ballena Alegre on the Costa Brava with this award. And I'm delighted you were able to receive it, and you're here with us today, and I congratulate you for receiving the European Solar Prize for commercial companies and industries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, dear friends, we have an intermezzo. We have a in-between feature, a message from Spain, and indeed from Catalonia and Spain. We have our dear Dr. Josep Puig o Bosch is a member of the Catalonian Parliament. He's also the president of the Spanish section, or the vice president, and represents the Catalonian section as well. Josep, send us your message.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all the team of the Camping La Ballena Alegre and all the winners of this present edition of the European Solar Prizes. In this occasion, I would like to share with you some thoughts on energy. Now we have the knowledge and the means to turn around the present energy system based already on fire. Our society is provided with energy by burning fossil fuels and by fissioning uranium. The result is known: global warming and radioactive poisoning. But now we have the opportunity to base our energy system on the energy contained in the biospheric flows. Today, we have the ability to give birth to an energy system not based anymore on fire and make it to grow. An energy system based on 100% renewables and in the hands of people. An energy system that empowers people and communities who have local sources of renewable energy to take advantage of its uptake, transformation, and use for providing energy services to everyday life that requires to live and work in a sustainable way. For me, this is what is known as energy democracy. We need to make real the energy democracy as an ethical imperative. Finally, as a European and Catalan citizen, I would like to express my deep concern about the authoritarian drift of the Spanish state and my solidarity with all the Catalan political prisoners and exiles that are condemned to 100 years of prison. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for your personal, community and regional engagement. We look forward to many years and decades of cooperation. From the Iberian Peninsula, we're shifting our view to another part of Europe which is most fascinating. It's the region of the Lake Constance, cradled by the countries of Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. Here we go.
The members of the Lake Constance Foundation are committed to integrating and implementing the energy transition into a comprehensive agenda for protecting the environment and promoting sustainability. The foundation is active in the four-country Lake Constance region: Germany, Austria, Switzerland and Liechtenstein. In the last 25 years, the Foundation has demonstrated in more than 40 projects how to implement sustainable development successfully. Its projects range from management consultancy on climate protection to eco-camping, the establishment of the first solar boat fleet, and the promotion of independent energy transition projects. It established a network in the region of Lake Constance, consisting of municipal utilities, engineers, planners, nature conservation associations and local authorities, which initiates a large number of innovative renewable energy projects. The Lake Constance Foundation is committed to transformation at regional and municipal level. It supports citizens to become the driving force behind a democratic new energy system. The Foundation's holistic approach to energy system transformation contributes to climate protection across borders and is a model for a sustainable Europe.
The European Solar Prize in the category of local regional associations and organizations goes to the Lake Constance Foundation, which is based in Germany, but really in its heart is a multinationally active organization. It's also sectorally engaged in ways that has impressed the jury. Traditionally, there is a schism, a split between environmental groups, renewable energy groups, and other interests that are essentially pursuing the same regenerative future, but fighting each other. Here we have a foundation which has been integrating these views and has been leading in renewable energy while protecting nature, while protecting local cultures, and while engaging in supporting local communities in their work, especially local government. With me today, with us really, is Volker Comrie. He's the coordinator of the Renewable Energies Department of the Lake Constance Foundation. Exactly what I didn't want. I wanted Volker, but I didn't want a sectoral view on the renewable energies, but I'm sure he's more than capable of expanding his view on the role of renewable energy in the overall regional stewardship of nature protection, cultural protection, and regenerative resource development. As I indicated before, the Lake Constance region is able to provide its own energy. It can provide its own carbon sequestration capabilities. And I'd like to hear from Volker how the foundation sees that work and how you, from a strategic sense, pursue renewables in your effort to have a sustainable, regenerative region by the end of the decade.
Yes, thank you. Our view in the region is really all about networking. It's about bringing different actors and stakeholders together in order to combine all those different views. And we see that a lot has been achieved in the field of electricity, in the field of renewable heat, for example. We're still in the beginning of combining all those different sectors and really start thinking heavily about combining renewable energies and nature conservation. So different technologies have very different impacts. And we always try to think both combined right from the beginning.
As a network organization, who are your main allies in a general sense? Are there more local government? Are there more regional environmental groups? Are they citizens? Where do you find most resonance and most support?
We find a lot of support on all those levels. More and more of the support is actually coming also from the European Union. Most of our projects are funded in our days by European Union projects, and also this prize shows that the European recognition of our work is already there, and sometimes even bigger and higher estimated than the national. But we work really on all levels. We try to reach out to citizens in our region and abroad, but we work with all kind of governmental approaches and other association nature conservancies. We are a member of the worldwide network Living Lakes. So we find allies also all over the world and try to share good ideas and good practice examples.
Thank you. Volker, I would like to invite you to become our ambassador for regional regeneration in the Eurosolar engagement program next year. And I would love to talk to you more about that. Just like with Alex and his leadership in tourism, you could help us promote, engage the integration of the common interests of the renewable energy, the nature conservation, the cultural continuity, heritage preservation, but also community engagement as one continuum of existential vector that needs to be pursued. And I hope you and your colleagues at the Lake Constance Foundation are able to work with us on that. And here I would like to thank you for already nodding, because we will actually take you up on that. But to ease you into that, please accept our congratulations for the European Solar Prize in local and regional associations and organizations for the Lake Constance Foundation in Germany. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are shifting our attention again to another wonderful part of Europe, and this time we're moving in the category of transport and mobility, a central core category to Denmark.
Allen is a pioneering 100% electric ferry. With a length of almost 60 meters and a capacity for 30 vehicles and 200 passengers, she was the largest electric ferry in the world on entering service in August 2019. Allen crosses the sea from Germany via southern Denmark to and from Ero and offers her passengers the sound of waves and seagulls rather than engine noise and diesel smoke. Compared to a diesel ferry, Allen saves the release of more than 2,000 tons of CO2 per year. The electric ferry is the result of a 5-year innovation project funded under the European Commission's Horizon 2020 framework program in cooperation with Ero municipality. She was built by Sobi Werft AS with sections fabricated in Poland and developed in Switzerland. The batteries are split between 2 battery rooms and have a capacity of 4.3 megawatt-hour. This enables Allen to cross distances of up to 22 nautical miles between charging. The design minimizes weight. While the hull is steel, the bridge is made of aluminium and the deck furniture from recycled paper rather than wood. Allen is a true European and a milestone in the electrification of the shipping industry.
Congratulations to the municipality of Ero in Denmark for the Transport and Mobility European Solar Prize.
Thank you.
We see and welcome Halfdan Abrahamsen, who's just been holding the award. He is with the Ero Energy Lab, the Media and Information Manager. And I think behind him some other European colleagues. We have from Finland, Hanna Huppunen. And we have Anni Kortsari from the Hellenic Institute of Transport, and I believe Mika Lehmusto from Leclanché, the I think Swiss-based storage and electric services provider. Truly European base. It's already the 4th project that has been EU supported, and what we see here, Halfdan, is a kind of a kick into the European Green Deal framework and say, you can do better, you can go further, you can go renewable in transport in all aspects of our society. And I'm so delighted that you come here to us and tell us a little bit about your success, tell us a little bit about how important the EU program was for that, and tell us a little bit about where you go from here, commercially, in terms of outreach, or in terms of applications to other users in Europe.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for the prize. We're very proud, and thank you for the wonderful introduction speech. Of course, we couldn't have done this without support from the Horizon 2020. We half of the budget came from the EU, and the rest was paid by the municipality of Ero. And it's truly a European project in that we had 9 European partners to begin with, and I'm happy to share the honor with so many different countries and organizations, and we hope that will help spread the word because we need more electric ferries instead of very polluting diesel ferries.
How has this project boosted your own resolve in the municipality, both in terms of this kind of pursuit, but also in the collaboration with other European partners? Has it ended here, or are you going further?
Actually, my colleague here, Cecilia Larsen, is the project manager, and she is dedicated to developing more projects. And of course, the fact that we were supported by the EU gave us great hope that maybe we can have success again like this, where we can receive funding, because the island has long been working with renewable energy transition. We produce more energy than we use with windmills, and we can charge Ellen with that. We hope, of course, that we can help in further developing new solutions in the transport sector, because that's a hard nut to crack. And if we can do it with new partners in new European projects, that would be great.
You're making a very powerful case for a renewable transport infrastructure program, both on the European level and on the national and regional levels. Transport infrastructure is something that we can't really do commercially. We know it doesn't pay for itself. It has never done that. It does it only by virtue of subsidies that are hidden, like the fossil fuel subsidies that are so massive, that keep the combustion engine going. But here we see an example of with relatively little investment. I mean, if you think of the lifetime of the ferry, we can think of a renewable, and that's the biggest ferry in Europe of its kind. We can think of renewable public infrastructure on the seas, on the waters, on land, in the air, that is so much should be part of the EU Green Deal vision. And thank you very much to you and your colleagues for bringing this to us and receiving this award, not just for yourself, for all of us in transport and mobility. European Solar Prize goes to our municipality and its colleagues. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have a message. We have a message from an expert in economics, but an expert also in public policy, in environmental protection, and also a German Solar Prize winner in 2016, and that is Professor Dr. Claudia Kempfert. Claudia, it's your turn.
Hello, everyone, the award winners. It's a real pity that I cannot be with you today, but I would like to take this opportunity to say a few words of greetings. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the prize winners and wish them a great award ceremony. Congratulations. Not only today's prize winners are winners, but renewable energy in general. Eurosolar has already honored many masterminds who have all shown that the energy transition to a full supply of renewable energy is a solution to many problems. Recent studies once again prove that what you all knew anyway, solar energy is becoming increasingly cheaper and is the solution for a full supply of renewable energy. Solar energy and wind energy as team players, plus battery storage, not only secure a decentralized energy system, but also create resilience, make us independent of fossil energy wars of any kind, and can beat 3 crises with one stone: the energy crisis, the economic crisis, and the climate crisis. There's no doubt that we are currently experiencing an unprecedented economic crisis. The corona crisis has paralyzed almost the entire economy, and the effects are still being felt. It's becoming increasingly clear that climate change is advancing massively worldwide, and that climate policy pursued today, despite the international efforts, is inadequate. We are at the beginning of a disruptive change towards more climate protection. A full supply of renewable energy is technically possible and economically profitable. Climate protection creates enormous economic opportunities, creates added value, lowers the cost of importing fossil fuels, and has low overall system costs. This is confirmed once again by a recent study from the USA, which shows that the cost of solar, wind, and batteries will continue to fall and are therefore the cornerstones of a full supply of renewable energies. We are indeed in a time of a change. Corona has changed everything. But the new start out of the crisis can also be an opportunity for a real change. The year 2020 will perhaps go down in history as the tipping point, the year in which irreversible climate protection started, the fossil fuel sell-off began, and the world's global climate crisis was averted. In any case, it's definitely time. With this in mind, I wish you a great conference and a very great awards ceremony despite all odds. Even if it can only be virtual this year, celebrate extensively. You are an important part of the solar transition. You make the difference. All the best. Have a beautiful day. Cheers.
To have a 100% renewable society and maybe 150, 200% renewable, regenerative, reverse our environmental damage, we have to have a society without nuclear and fossil fuel power. And these industries don't disappear by themselves. They need a concerted action to be restructured. And for this award in media and communications, the first award of 2 in media communications, we go straight to Salzburg in Austria.
The Platform Against Nuclear Hazards Salzburg, PLAGE, has been a key player in the Austrian anti-nuclear movement since 1986. For several decades, the association has been working constructively against the hazards arising from civil and military use of nuclear energy and for a nuclear-free future and the promotion of renewable energies. PLAGE is an independent critical platform for awareness-raising, knowledge exchange and networking. The association organizes events, carries out publicity campaigns and publishes various formats such as the printed magazine The Platform News and the digital newsletter Euratom Watch. They also have a large publicly accessible library and video library. PLAGE's latest short video calls urgently to quit Euratom. In it, PLAGE draws attention to the absurdities of the Euratom Treaty, which was established in 1957. Euratom commits the EU to massive investment in nuclear energy, independent of almost any other policy and without the involvement of the EU Parliament. In times like these, we are glad to have committed people who show relics like the Euratom Treaty for what they are: absurd.
Very appropriately, in this year of the European Green Deal visions, we are delighted to give the European Solar Prize to the Platform Against Nuclear Hazards in Salzburg, PLAGE or PLAGE. And we have with us Franz Daschil, and he is receiving the award also speaking for Mr. Neff, Thomas Neff, the project leader and campaigner of Quit Euratom, and Stefan Neff, who is a member of PLAGE or PLAGE. And I'd like to just start out with a quick question to Franz. Many people think the European and global nuclear battle has been won. It's all over. We are phasing out. There's no more issues. This was something in the 60s, 50s, and 70s that we battled again. But clearly that's not the case. Where do you see the action lying now? Where do you see the most effective levers for change so we can freely move into a regenerative age?
We have a small problem here. We have to translate it in German. So I will translate it.
It's okay. Wo sehen Sie, Herrn Daschil, wo sehen Sie die
Mr. Neff, please. Here is this.
Ja, genau. Genau, wo sehen Sie die Aktionspunkte jetzt? Ganz kurz, wo sieht Ihr Programm? Was schlagen Sie vor für Europe? Was sollte geschehen in den nächsten Jahren, um Ihre Vision zu verwirklichen?
Wir müssen die Unterstützung für diesen, also den Euratom-Vertrag, den müssen wir einstellen. Das heißt, wir unterstützen in Europa den Euratom-Vertrag mit vielen Milliarden Euros und das gehört eingestellt. Das gehört einfach verändert und abgeschlossen.
Should we translate?
Well, I can translate it if you like. I mean, essentially, Franz has been saying that an essential part of public policy in Europe has to be to end this Euratom contract, which has been saddling our economies and saddling our public expenditures for so long and has been committing us to a outdated form of energy. Is there something you would like to add to that in terms of what it means to the European Green Deal, for instance? If we have a Green Deal, where in the Green Deal, or how would you integrate this exit from Euratom or exit from nuclear dependence in the public policy platform? Der europäische Green Deal, kann der eine Plattform werden für den Ausstieg aus dem Atomvertrag? Und wenn so, haben Sie dazu Positionen ergriffen?
Grundsätzlich wäre das eine Möglichkeit, aber es muss einmal die Bereitschaft da sein, dass man diese Atomindustrie nicht mehr unterstützt. Die Gelder, die hier frei werden, die sollte man dann dafür verwenden, für alternative Energien und in diesem Bereich auch intensiv weiterzuarbeiten.
Well, thank you very much. Franz Daschiel is saying, the chairman of Plage, that there's an enormous savings potential. There's a massive billions and billions of euros to be saved. If the European Green Deal is serious about a regenerative future, that has to be part of the picture. And there is, besides the Corona investments that are also to be really directed toward regenerative investment, there is this enormous savings from expenditures on the nuclear framework, which continues to haunt us, that can be rescued, freed up. Of course, we have to think about how to retire those nuclear plants, but there is a start where we can construct a regenerative future. I'd like to thank you, Franz, and your colleagues, and Thomas Neff and Plage for your work. And I'd like you to be congratulated in the category of media and communications as the platform against nuclear hazards in Salzburg. Thank you for taking part, and thank you for being the community of awardees.
May I tell you, this is the family Neff, Thomas and Stephanie Neff, and these are the main actors in this, not me, Franz Daschiel.
Okay. Okay, those are the Neffs. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's start again from the beginning. Unfortunately, we don't have time. So what you're seeing here is in Thomas Neff and Stephanie Neff. Stephanie Neff, Thomas Neff. That was Franz Daschiel, the chairman, and this is Peter Droege. So we're all clear now. Thank you very much. We are moving on. We're looking forward to meeting you in Salzburg for some Nockerl and a glass of wine. Here's a congratulation. There's another part of this energy transition that is exiting from coal. And here we are delighted to award not Johanna Jaurich personally, but also Johanna Jaurich as a director and representative of Fechner Media for its films in Germany. But I'll move on to the video clip which we have prepared. I understand, team? Yes. Okay.
Johanna Jaurich's debut, My Future Without Coal. 3 people, 1 story. Accompanies 3 people for 1 year in the middle of the most heated debate on German climate policy. The documentary shows how the coal exit affects people's personal lives and looks empathically at a deadlocked debate. Civil disobedience, personal ambition, our global future. My Future Without Coal demonstrates how politics and private life interact and raises awareness of the ecological and social impact of coal power. Created for German public television, the documentary attracted more than 500,000 viewers for its first broadcast. The film was produced by the prominent independent production company Fechner Media, which specializes in films about sustainability. Jaurich started out as video editor for Greenpeace and participated in various freelance film projects. She studied media science with a focus on film sociology and media psychology and has been working for Fechner Media as an author, director and producer since 2017. The young writer and director Johanna Jaurich was voted Best Woman Filmmaker at the Barcelona Planet Film Festival.
Ms. Jaurich, Johanna, we are delighted, honored to have you with us, and congratulations to this wonderful production. Can you tell us a little bit about perhaps a connection of 4 people, one story? Johanna and the 3 people, and the one story. Just give us a minute, couple of minutes in a kind of your own personal rendition of that.
So I think what originally drove me into making this film and taking a closer look on how the coal phase out is affecting people's life in Germany was that I myself am so into all these topics, and especially once we signed the Paris Climate Agreement in 2015, I found it so strange that we're still discussing on what's the best time of getting out of coal and like arguing about way beyond 2030. So I thought I just need to have a closer look on how people are intertwining in this very political debate. And it just affected me personally because I'm 26 years old and I still got time to live. And I just wanted to find out how we're dealing with this political debate and how media can expand and broaden this discussion.
And the media story is very much part of your story. And we know that there's so many personal lives caught up in this transition and so many personal lives that have created a kind of a, I don't know how to call it, a historical inertia perhaps, but also reinforced by public policy and by industrial interests who use this personal inertia for their own ends. And how do you, I mean, do you think that the media and the communication channels can sensitively engage in this dislocation, if you will, or this disconnection from the personal trajectory away from this policy and industrial reinforcement of that future, and show a bright future, or let's say a potential future and a rewarding future in a regenerative economy in a way that's convincing those people?
Absolutely. I do think we have to keep something really important in mind. All those energy systems, political systems, financial systems are man-made. So it is also a possibility to change them for the better and like to start talking about visions, how it can be done differently and how we can want to live together in the future. So I do think media are a very essential part of like building up pictures in people's mind so they have a goal in mind that they can follow and find their way on how to go there. And that's why I, for me personally, found it so important to show these sustainable role models together with the production company Fechner Media, who is doing that for 31 years. I'm just there for 4 years, but yeah, I absolutely do think that we can broaden this discussion and like start overthinking of the systems we are building up by ourselves.
This engagement for which you received the award is very much in the mainstream television, embedded in the, and then we have this enormous, I don't want to call it ecosystem, but messy universe of the social media. And from TikTok to Instagram and so forth. I mean, there's hardly anything there which, you know, provides this sort of narrative, sort of discourse. what can be done to enable, let's say, if not thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe more, millions, to make their own awareness-raising, future constructive vision for society? Is there potential for Johanna Jaurich's media school at Eurosolar, where you can transfer your insights to those social media aficionados and young people who perhaps yearn for an outlet in the media, but doing it in a way that can reach a messy audience, a random audience, but still with a good message?
So I guess it's two answers for that question. So I'm currently working on a new film together with Karl Fechner, who is bringing these solutions and these constructive parts of a sustainable and justice and healthy future into cinemas and link it with local action events. So we want to bring this film in 50 countries in this world. And each film, each screening will be accompanied by local action events where people get the chance to directly take action in their local communities. And this is also part of the second answer that I have, because it is super important, in my opinion, to be aware that we're living in a globalized world, which also means we have to be informed fundamentally about the global intertwining, but at the same point where we feel the most active and where we can change, in my opinion, the most is in our local communities, is in our local surroundings, in our what is right in front of our doorsteps. So I guess the solution, or one of the solutions, and also a part where media can contribute and social media can contribute, is to bring this to as many channels as possible. Talk about it with your circle of friends or with your colleagues, but also talk about it on social media, inform yourself on social media, inform yourself with regular media, and trying to understand what is the best part of taking action right now.
Beginning to teach us. We want to invite you next year to the Eurosolar Media School as the first teacher. So hold your horses, keep your powder dry, and just sit back, relax, and enjoy the European Solar Prize in Media Communication together with Fechner Media.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johanna, and thank you, Fechner Media. Thank you, Karl. Well, we have a video message here from two of our former Solar Prize winners, Johannes Hegger, an architect, famous architect, and Louise Holloway, who are in one clip. Is that right? So please go ahead and roll that video message.
Hello, hello all. Hello, European Solar Prize winners. Energy transition has everything to do with energy literacy. And one of the many things needed to be done is to communicate. But this thing, communicating effectively, is really, really crucial. The whole wide world needs to be a part of the narrative. And we have to go outside of our comfort zones and learn how to make the messages about resource responsibility accessible to all of our stakeholders. Sometimes the messages don't have to be that complicated. We do need to pursue the narrative frequently, accessibly, using terms that everyone can understand and even appropriate for themselves. To audiences from the bottom up and the top down, from left to right, from all compass points, we need to reach all audiences, from policymakers to school boards and children, academics and entrepreneurs, large industry representatives and independent professionals, the whole spectrum, but importantly to the general public, using the many and varied specialized communications channels at our disposal. When we do this, we're acting, we're shaping, we're stimulating, we're motivating, and we're triggering behavioral change. So this is an important and great challenge, and we can do this. So congrats, Eurosolar laureates. Thank you for your fine work. I'm Louise Holloway, Director of the Energy Endeavor Foundation, stewarding body of the Solar Decathlon Europe. Have a great day. Thank you.
The current COVID-19 crisis can provide a window of opportunity for promoting sustainable energy and transition across the globe. But this goal can only be achieved with deliberate planning and carefully designed strategic communication. We have the chance to change direction and to prevent future crises. And this is in the deepest interest of Eurosolar. Our jury session was very interesting. With our hard discussions, we think that we have found remarkable projects for the European Solar Prize 2020.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the award in the Education Vocational Training category, we're moving straight to the Netherlands.
The Dutch foundation School Roof Revolution, Schooldak Revolutie, set out in the mission to cover every suitable Dutch school roof with solar panels to make schools and their curriculum more sustainable. The independent, not-for-profit organization strives to make the transition to solar power as easy as possible for school boards and municipalities. A team of 10 employees and 16 local volunteers offers technical advice, a plan of action for schools, and brings school boards together with the relevant parties, such as installers, local governments, and civil society. The association is already in contact with representatives of over half the schools in the Netherlands and continuously analyzes real estate portfolios to find practical options for change. As a result of the support, 627 schools are ready to install solar panels within the next 1.5 years, and 50 schools installed their own rooftop PV system last year. In line with their efforts to reach school officials as well as teachers, parents and children, the foundation encourages everyone, including pupils, to challenge their schools on sustainable energy and the option of a solar roof in nationwide campaigns. Schooldak Revolutie is powering through for a true local energy revolution and demonstrates how to implement PV on public school buildings on a large scale.
From the Schooldak Revolutie, School Roof Revolution, we have here the managing director of this wonderful initiative, Niels van der Sand. Meneer van der Sand, Niels, thank you very much. This school solar roof idea is, of course, something that makes a lot of sense, and people know that there are such things, and it's educational, it makes sense, there's roofs. But to cover all the school roofs of an entire nation is an extraordinary ambition, and you have achieved an extraordinary amount of success already. Now, what's helping you? Is the government helping? Is the Ministry of Education behind you? Is it really up to the local schools, the local facility managers? How do you drive this revolution?
Thank you all, and thank you for this great introduction, and indeed, thanks for this great award. It's very honored to receive it. And we need everyone. It's a Herculean task that we are trying to achieve. We have a lot of school rooftops, and like you said, it makes sense. It's a lot of potential space. Schools are focused and centered in smaller communities. There's a lot of involvement socially as well. And we see it more and more that we are a small country, so we need all the place and we need every square inch and square meter. But we have large ambitions, and they involve solar as well for the future. So we need to get every square inch suited where we can. In the end, we need politics, regionals, but we also in the end need to have a school board that says we're on board. And we're trying to squeeze them via all the channels that we are available, even including children, that you cannot force anything on, of course, but we are trying to get them involved. And in the end, we're a revolution. So sometimes we do it a little bit different than regular. Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, you mentioned it. schools would be nothing without pupils and children. And how you just mentioned on the side that you can't really control them or so, but of course they would be interested. And my question is, how do you interest them, or is there an interstitial connective program between your initiative and the teaching curriculum, if you will, or the engagement of those schools in helping the kids understand it isn't just another panel on the roof? This is something which makes the school into something very different, a power plant of the sun.
Yes. Yeah, it's we cannot enforce anything, but we can empower. With the media and the communication, we can empower children, especially in the secondary education age. But also on primary education age, we can still help them combine their desires and saying, we want this to happen. And it is powerful when there are multiple voices. And we believe that every child in the Netherlands should be able to learn on, but also about solar energy and renewable energy. We do that via the educational programs. We don't invent them all ourselves, but we try to be on every age level, be able to at least provide handouts and possibilities of workshops, easy to access educational programs. And we link towards partners that have a more extensive way of channeling this. So that they can even spend time in their different classes, and that is really embedded in their way of education. And I think that makes sense for the future generation, that it gets the new normal.
Well, the final question, Niels, is perhaps an obvious one to you, but it's often forgotten, the bottom line. This is a little bit part of the Dutch genetic opmaak, isn't it? The understanding of the pecuniary logic, the economy. Does it provide advantages to those schools? Does it help them make financial improvements in their construction? Does it require subsidies or tax breaks, or does it really work better as a part of providing electricity also more affordably and allowing the schools to do their work with a slightly improved budget?
It's very differentiated. Some are really financially driven still, based on conservative finance. On the other hand, we see that operational costs are reduced quite dramatically immediately once you install it. So based on not looking at only an investment cost that right now, you can spread it out and look towards reduction of your running costs throughout the life cycle. And that appeals to quite a little bit more people. But yes, we still have some local subsidiaries or subsidies helping to clean the deal in that sense. Not necessary. If you really would like to have it installed, you will get it installed. But it helps to have this regional, but also countrywide subsidies still able to give them a final nudge. But it's not only financially driven anymore in this category. It's also about doing the right thing.
Okay, very good. Well, Niels, congratulations to you and your colleagues of the School Roof Revolution. We applaud you collectively from across Europe and the world for having done such a wonderful initiative and being able to help us understand how it works.
Thank you very much.
We have a very important, crucial category in the European Solar Prize, and that's called One World Cooperation, that connects European agents, actors, and businesses, institutions to international work. And here for this award in our series of 2020 European Solar Prizes, we go straight back to Germany.
The startup Be Energy provides people in rural regions of Africa, Asia and Latin America with access to clean, innovative and ecological energy. At the same time, it makes small local farmers more independent. Biogas is often a valuable solution for local farmers. It enables them not only to produce energy from animal dung and organic waste, but also to recover fermentation residues, which are valuable organic fertilizers. The social enterprise sells mobile biogas technology, consisting of a biogas plant, a biogas backpack, and a biogas burner to local business partners. The backpack is the key feature that makes the biogas plant a business model. The backpack serves as a storage for about 1.2 cubic meters of biogas from any kind of biogas plant. This amount is sufficient for 3 to 4 hours of cooking. While the capacity of the biogas plants can be adjusted to the amount of substrate available, the backpack makes the gas available independently of production and mobile. Surplus biogas can be sold to and bought from neighbors. Agriculture engineer Katrin Pütz founded the startup that turns its customers into energy entrepreneurs. B Energy is doing the kind of one-world cooperation that deserves its name. It is cooperation at eye level.
Well, the European Solar Prize in 2020 in One World Cooperation goes to the social business B Energy in Germany. And Katrin Pütz, who is the managing director, is here live with us, and she's anticipating some hard questions about the idea she's had, about the economics of it. It is, of course, a fantastic, interesting idea because biogas is so ubiquitously present. It's usually connected quite locally to infrastructure that might exist in China and other countries. But the idea of making it more available, more ubiquitously present, and using personal transport, bicycles and feed, and local businesses, if you will, entrepreneurship, is quite special. I mean, how do local communities respond to this? How do they integrate this on a sustainable fashion? And if I can add a third question, how do you handle the risk management side of carrying a methane bubble on your back?
Yeah, thank you very much. I am very honored and very happy to have this award. Thank you so much. I start with the last part of your question, the danger, because most people might probably wonder why on earth we are carrying a flammable gas in a plastic bag. And I can calm you down. It is a non-explosive gas. Biogas needs to be mixed with a lot of oxygen. That means a lot of air to be explosive. So if this biogas backpack is put on an open fire, it simply just flares off. It's actually quite a boring reaction. So it's safe, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. It's TÜV tested and approved. The sustainability of the business model and how we integrate this in mostly Africa is through an offer that we make to local business partners. So we have 3 roles for local partners to engage. One is the importer who imports the technology or even manufactures it locally and brings it to the local market. Then we have the installers who are independent, handy, practical people who install the technology and promote it to users. And then we have the users who produce the gas and then finally make the business with selling biogas in backpacks to the local community. So maybe one thing about the sustainability, this model is only accepted where people can afford it. That makes it more sustainable because we do not depend on external funding.
Well, this is an extraordinary story, and can you just enlighten us? Are you also receiving subsidies or support from German or other international organizations that engage by funding your work?
This is what we get often offered, but I actually reject these well-meant offers because I believe that a real sustainable development can only happen when it comes from within and when it is chosen by those that we are trying to support with this. We try to make our offer simply as good as it has to be affordable, so that we can be independent from this external funding, because otherwise, once funding ceases, we will be out of business. And the main reason why I do not accept these funding offers is because I think it would be unfair to local businesses who are trying to do the same thing and do not have access to such funding. So we try not to distort local markets by accepting such funding options.
There's so many dimensions of your story which are so convincing that I'm so delighted and pleased that we were reinforced by this brief exchange in our choice. And I can only say that we are honored and pleased that we have you here and that you're able and willing to accept the European Solar Prize in the category of One World Cooperation for 2020. And I hope you accept our invitation to be a guest in our Solar College next year to give a short insight how the economics work, the social dynamics work, how the technology works, for those that might want to learn from that, not just here, but also internationally. These media that we are using today enable us to broadcast through our World Council for Renewable Energy, International Global Division, to countries around the world, and we'll be able to introduce you in that way. And if you're willing to do that, I'd be personally honored. But for now, accept our congratulations and our delight to have you here.
Thank you very much.
This wonderful series of awards concludes our 2020 Solar Prize Awards, and I'm also happy to announce that we'll be able to show not just this entire recording of this event that's now live here with us online and on YouTube, but also on our Eurosolar channel. And for that, please go to eurosolar.org. We are an organization that's Europe-wide, that's founded in the European context. It's based in Germany, but it's dependent financially only entirely on memberships and activities. Well, we are at the end of this wonderful hour celebrating the very best of Europe's energy transition agents, actors, heroes, and very normal people like you and me. We can all do it. I just wanted to say to you, thank you for spending the time with us. We look forward to your signals. We look forward to engaging you. And frankly, we look forward to engaging you as members of Eurosolar. It's a very small membership fee each year, and you can also contribute in donations. And speaking of donations, I would like to thank the CNE Baumeister Foundation for Innovative Technology for helping support the series of European Solar Prizes, and especially our team in Bonn that is working very hard to make our mission so enjoyable and productive. And finally, this would not have happened without Frank Ferensky Film and their wonderful crew here in Berlin, active for the energy transformation. It's an honor and a pleasure to work with all of these wonderful people. And with you at home, we look forward to seeing you, not just next year, already next week when you re-engage with us. Goodbye and farewell.